One of the best things about macOS is a strong ecosystem of high quality apps, and it's one of the reasons I even started using it in the first place. Usually when I'm trying to get work done on my device, I ask myself the question, what do I need to get done? And also, is there an app that I can use to get this done faster? And so in this video, I'm going to give you 5 apps that I use on a daily basis as a medical student that helps me to answer these questions. Most of these apps mainly help me to get work done a lot more efficiently, which just saves me a lot more time that I can go and use to do something else. If this is your first time on the channel, hi, my name is Damien Denergy. I'm a third year medical student, and on this channel I mainly talk about tech and productivity and how one affects the other. So if you like what you see in this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And if you have anything to say or anything to add, make sure to leave a comment down below in the description. So let's get right into it. The first app that I'm going to talk about is Notion. Notion is an amazing app that you can use to take notes, stay organized, keep track of tasks, or even write documents. I've even seen some people use Notion to make full websites. There are a lot of note-taking apps now, like Evernote or Notability or GoodNotes, but Notion sets itself apart by including a ton of features that allow you to get things done a lot more efficiently, such as its high-quality templates, or the way that you can execute certain commands just by using / and a key on your keyboard, which just makes taking notes so much easier, so you don't have to touch your mouse as much. So if you're looking for a note-taking app to use, I highly recommend Notion. The next app on the list is Anki. I'm pretty sure most students know what Anki is at this point. It's basically the foundation to a lot of our study nowadays. If you don't know what Anki is basically a flashcard app which enforces the concept of spaced repetition and active recall. Active recall is basically the process of trying to recall information actively. So trying to remember what the powerhouse of the cell is, or trying to remember which apolipoproteins are on VLDLs. It's basically the process of retrieving information from your brain. And spaced repetition is spacing those recalls at certain time intervals. So a combination of both basically helps to consolidate short-term memory into long-term memory. The nice thing about Anki compared to other flashcard apps is that it runs on an algorithm, which basically helps you to set which flashcards you should go through per day. And it just makes studying a lot easier because I don't have to plan, okay, what am I going to study today? By the time I go on Anki, I already have a bunch of flashcards ready for me to go through. And the main way it works is that when you're using a flashcard, you can tell Anki if you find a flashcard easy or hard. And so Anki determines when the next time I should bring it back would be. If you find the card easy, it will repeat the card at a further time compared to if you found the card hard. So if you haven't started using Anki, I highly recommend, because it makes revising complex topics so much easier. So now if I want to go through cardiology and respiratory, I don't have to keep waiting. I already have flashcards waiting for me that will revise those concepts for me. So it just makes the revision a lot easier for me. The main downside of Anki is that you tend to have to set up the flashcards yourself. But luckily there's a thing called Anki, which is basically a huge collection of flashcards that spans across most of the medical curriculum. I think it's like 40,000 flashcards. Or something, it's like 40,000 flashcards, and it basically splits it up into different sections. So it'll have a flashcard section for respiratory or cardiology or neuro. There's a video by a YouTuber called Zach Hiley who goes through this in a lot more depth, and he basically goes through how to set up these flashcards. So I'll leave that video in the description down below. So I highly recommend installing Anki as soon as possible. Okay, so now the next thing on the list is OBS. So I only started using OBS at the start of the school year, and I wish I started using it sooner. OBS is a screen recording or screen sharing or live streaming program, and it's very, very, very powerful. The main thing I use OBS for is recording lectures. Since we're in the middle of a pandemic, a lot of our classes are online now, and so it really helps for me to be able to record lectures when your teachers allow it, so that I can go through them later. And the handy thing about OBS is that it lets me record just the windows. So for example, if we're having a class on Microsoft Teams, OBS records just the Microsoft Teams window, and it doesn't record any other part of the screen. So that means I can cover the Microsoft Teams window with something else and start doing something completely different, and we'll still record the video and the audio from Microsoft Teams. Like compared to before, when if I was on Microsoft Teams and I want to record the lecture, I'd have to leave the Teams window open and I couldn't go anywhere on my laptop. And this saves me a lot of time because I can start working on other things whilst class is going on. So in case I want to look up what the professor is talking about, or in case I want to take notes, or in case I just want to look up something completely different that's not related to the current lecture, I can do that without my recording being interrupted. And that's the beautiful thing about OBS. So I highly recommend it if you're trying to record your lectures. If you want to use OBS on macOS, it does take a bit of setting up to do compared to Windows. I have made a video on that, luckily, which I will leave in the description, so check it out if you want to learn how to use OBS on macOS. Okay, so the next app on the list is NTFS for Mac. So I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person who's run into the issue where I have a file on my macOS system or my macOS device, and somebody comes with an external hard drive that they previously used on Windows, and they want me to transfer something from my macOS onto that hard drive. The main issue with this is that macOS has its own proprietary file system and Windows has its own file system as well. So if I plug in the Windows external hard drive into a macOS device, I can read whatever data is on it, but I cannot write to it. And this is a huge issue, especially when you're trying to transfer files from one laptop to the other. Like not just hard drives, USB sticks as well. So the main way to combat this is using an app called NTFS For Mac, which basically allows your macOS device to be able to write onto a Windows hard drive. And I cannot overstate how useful this has been. It's not an app that you're going to use on a daily basis, but when the issue does arrive or when you do need to use it, it is amazing because it saves you a lot of time, especially when the file is huge and you need to do it as soon as possible. So I suggest just having it installed on your laptop. There is a small fee, but it's 100% worth it, especially if you have a study group in which files are shared on a constant basis or videos are shared on a constant basis. And the final app on this list is the macOS Office Suite. I'm tired of seeing people with Apple devices using Microsoft Office apps or paying for Microsoft Office apps because there's really no need to. Apple already has a full suite of Office apps that you can use for 100% free. You don't need Microsoft Office, you don't need Excel, you don't need PowerPoint. You can use Apple's own software free, and you can install it on your iPhone, your iPad, and your macOS device, and they work really well. You can even open up PowerPoint files or Word files or Excel files with those apps, and you can even edit them in those apps. You really don't need to use any other app. And I don't think enough people know this because I still see a lot of people to this day with macOS systems still paying for Office when Apple has its own software built in. And it's very, very powerful. So stop paying for Microsoft Office. It's overrated at this point. So those are 5 apps that I use as a medical student that I find really, really handy to use. There are a lot more apps that I use, but these are the main ones that I use that I feel that other students may also benefit from as well. If you want me to show more apps that I use, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. And if you want me to check out any apps that you may know that I haven't mentioned in this video, leave it in the comments down below and I'll check it out. And that's it for me. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.